I was just a kid back then, maybe 10 or 11 when the circus came to our town. I remember the excitement like it was yesterday. We didn't get many visitors in Harmony Creek. It was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone, and the biggest news was usually Mrs. Gable's prize-winning roses. So, when those brightly painted wagons rolled in, trailing dust and the promise of magic, it felt like the whole world had suddenly remembered we existed. The posters went up overnight, plastered on every lamppost and storefront window. Monsieur Moreau's Carnival of Curiosities, they proclaimed, with swirling red letters and a drawing of a smiling ringmaster tipping his top hat. The air filled with a new kind of energy. You could smell it, a mix of hay, sawdust, and something sweet, like spun sugar and roasted peanuts, even before the big tent was raised. My friends and I would ride our bikes down to the edge of Miller's Field just to watch them set up a chaotic ballet of roustabouts and strange-looking performers. The first few days were pure joy. The carnival was a kaleidoscope of sound and color. The calliope music was relentless, a cheerful wheezing tune that you could hear from my bedroom window at night. I remember begging my dad for an extra $1 to ride the Ferris wheel one more time to see the whole town laid out below. Me like a toy set all the familiar houses and streets bathed in the carnival's golden glow. But looking back, the strangeness started subtly. It was like a single note in that cheerful calliope song was just slightly off-key. You'd barely notice it at first, but once you did, you couldn't unhear it. It started with the animals. Old Man Hemlock, who lived on the edge of town, swore his prize rooster just vanished from its coop one night. Then a few cats went missing. People chalked it up to coyotes, but there was a quiet unease settling in. The performers were different. They were masters of their craft, no doubt. The trapeze artists flew with a grace that defied gravity, and the strong man could lift an anvil with one hand, but it was their eyes. They had this vacant, far-off look, even when they were smiling at the crowd. They moved with a kind of weary precision, like marionettes whose strings were being pulled from somewhere very far away. They rarely spoke to each other, and never to us townsfolk, outside of their acts. And then there was Monsieur Moreau himself. He was a striking figure, tall and thin, with a neatly trimmed silver beard and a smile that never quite reached his eyes. He'd walk through the midway, tipping his hat, his presence commanding a strange kind of silence. People would part for him, their laughter dying on their lips, only to resume once he'd passed. He seemed to glide more than walk, his black coat trailing behind him like a shadow. One evening I was trying to win a stuffed bear at the ring toss booth. The man running it, a performer with painted-on teardrops, just stared straight ahead, his hands mechanically resetting the bottles. He didn't blink, not once. I watched him for a full 5 minutes. The sheer stillness of him was more unsettling than any monster I could have imagined. I dropped my rings and backed away, the cheerful music suddenly sounding menacing and distorted. The nights grew colder that week, even though it was the middle of July. A strange, damp fog would roll in off the fields after sunset, thick and cloying, muffling the sounds of the carnival. It smelled of wet earth and something else, something metallic and vaguely sweet, like wilting flowers. Lying in bed, I'd hear things through the fog. Not just the calliope, but whispers. Faint, overlapping whispers that seemed to come from all directions at once. I told myself it was just the wind in the trees, but it sounded like voices murmuring things I couldn't quite make out. The real turning point was the disappearance of Timmy Miller. Timmy was a sweet boy, a couple of years younger than me, with a mop of blonde hair and a perpetual smile. He loved the carnival more than anyone. His mother said he just wandered off near the funhouse, the one with the giant leering clown face for an entrance. The whole town searched for him. The carnival folk helped, or at least they pretended to. They fanned out with lanterns, their faces blank masks of concern, but their movements felt hollow, rehearsed. We never found Timmy. The search was called off after 3 days. The same day the carnival packed up. It happened almost overnight. One morning, Miller's Field was just an empty, muddy patch of land, littered with stray popcorn boxes and marked by a giant, discolored circle where the big top had been. They were gone. No goodbyes, no final show. Just gone. The town of Harmony Creek was never the same after that. The joy had been siphoned out of it, leaving a quiet, lingering dread. People stopped talking about it, but you could see it in their eyes. The memory was a ghost that haunted our silent streets. Years later, when I was cleaning out my grandparents' attic, I found an old, leather-bound scrapbook. Tucked inside was a faded newspaper clipping from a town I'd never heard of, dated 50 years before I was born. The headline read, "Traveling Show Vanishes After Child's Disappearance." The article described a carnival, a ringmaster, a missing child, and a drawing of the ringmaster, Monsieur Moreau, tipping his hat. He looked exactly the same, not a day older. That's when I understood. It wasn't a circus that had visited our town. It was something else. Something that fed on joy, something that came to collect. It took our laughter, our wonder, our excitement, and when it was full, it took Timmy, too. It left us with silence and an empty field. I still think about that calliope music sometimes, late at night, and I wonder how many other small towns have a faded circle in a field, and a quiet story about the time the circus came to visit, and then was gone. Thanks for listening to my story. If you felt that chill down your spine, hit that like button and subscribe for more tailies from the shadows. Stay safe out there.